Tribe up, tribe up. Welcome to the House of Cons. Great day. Salute to everybody in the house. Hey, it's your boy Black Jack. Once again, we got another good show lined up. We rocking out on the Patreon, of course. Yeah, we doing it on the Patreon one more time, y'all. It's time for us to actually get a little more serious about this Patreon. You know what I mean? Because like I say, lately I ain't really been feeling YouTube like that, man. Honestly, I've been like, man, YouTube might not be what's up, man. So I've been kind of just trying to do my own thing, trying to make moves in a different manners. And hey, I appreciate everybody that's joined the Patreon already. I appreciate everybody that support the House of Cons. You know, if you've been rocking with me for a while, and you understand, like, you know, we do things a little different over here. And YouTube really ain't ready for this type of content that we making. So, you know, they'll do all kind of stuff to try to block it, demonetize it, censor it. So it's just gonna be important that we put a lot of stuff on Patreon, on future moves. That's just the way it is. I hate to say it. And it sucks because I like getting the message out to the public, believe it or not. You know, I like showing people what I know about our true history. But like I say, everybody ain't ready for it. Some people gonna knock it. Some people it's not what they gonna gravitate to. But it's all right. I'm saying, as long as I got y'all here with me, you know what I'm saying. It don't matter if the chosen is few. I already know the chosen is few. You know what I'm saying. I already know that. So I understand there won't be but a few people on these Patreon episodes. Everybody ain't gonna join. Everybody might not have $5 a month to hear some real content. You know, forget about the other stuff that they do. I know people got time to do all the stuff that they want to do, but stuff that they need to do or what they should support might not be where they heart at. You know, people might rather support other things, and that's cool. You know, I ain't mad at nobody for supporting what you want to support, but don't complain. You know, on the other end about what the House of Cons doing or ain't doing. You know, that's my only thing. I just, you know, if people ain't really down with the House of Cons, it's cool and I ain't tripping. You know, I'm just like, hey, don't complain about how things go over on this side of the internet. You know, especially if you don't support. I'm down to hear complaints from the people that support. You know, I ain't got no problem with that. I love to hear all complaints and recommendations from people that support. But people that don't really support, man, I ain't honestly, I ain't really trying to hear what you got to say. My best, if you don't support, my best advice to you, when you got something to say, just to go make your own channel. You know, but the people that support me, I'm willing to listen to what they got to say. You know what I'm saying? Salute to the supporters, all the members, all the tribe, the inner circle. Like I say, we got another good show lined up. I'm about to get started in a second. I'm just trying to pull up some sources. Y'all hit me up in the chat. Let me know how y'all doing. I put the link up on the Patreon in a post. So if you want to go directly to the YouTube video, you can get the link off a post, and you can click on the link, and you ought to be able to go right to the YouTube video, or you could just watch it on Patreon. Either way, you will have access to it. And right now I'm pulling it up on my phone so I can have access to the chat and everything. I'm pulling it up on YouTube so I can see the chat. You know, I can put it up on my app too, but I'd rather have it on my phone on something separate. That way I ain't running too much stuff on my computer. Alright, hit me in the chat. Let me know where you at. Hit the like, subscribe, share the video. We about to get it going, man. And the title of this Patreon episode is Alabama John. You know, Alabama John. And I did a live stream a minute ago for the public on YouTube, and I was letting everybody know that I was about to go live at 2 o'clock, and I was going to be talking about our true history and where we really came from. You know, yada, yada, yada. And I had the same thumbnail up. We looking at this thumbnail. I know a lot of people was wondering where this image come from, because I keep telling people over and over again, you don't have to be on some dogs rolls. You don't have to do some fake fictitious DNA test. You don't have to ask the colonizer. You don't have to do any of that to understand your true history. All you got to do is connect the dots, especially with these ancient maps. And this is just another one. And the important thing, they always told you that the N word come from the country of Niger in Africa or the river Niger. But a lot of y'all, well, who's to say that's true? Who's to say that's true when we got the N word, the river Niger right here in America? We got several river Negres or river Niger or river Negus in America. Several of them. So I'm not buying that the N word comes from the Niger River in Africa or the country of Niger in Africa. I'm not buying that. I got more intelligence in that, and I've studied more than that. I'm not that ignorant. And we're looking at this map from a third eye point of view, and it got the image of the Negro with his, and this is in America, with his short nappy hair. It's not long straight hair. He got his loincloth on. He's clearly a so-called Negro. And let's just get to it. I'll go ahead and show the sources now that we on Patreon. We out of the public view because, like I say, man, I'm starting to back off from the public stuff. There's a lot of people stealing content, people hating, people reporting content. I just ain't got time for the drama in the game. So I know how to move. Bad boys move in silence. So let's go, and I'll show you where this image from this map comes from. For the sake of research, we got sources. We got sources to show you where we get our information from over here at the House of Cards. We don't have nothing to hide. And it clearly says right up here. Right now I'm on www.raremaps.com. Raremaps.com. This is an antique map. Of course, it's rare. It's an antique. And the title of the map is Mardi Ethiopia, Vulgo Oceanus Ethiopicus. Now that's the name of this, right? That's the name of this map. And notice the map is of South America. Here's the key figures over here in the corner on the the top left hand corner. You got your key figures. That's where we get our guy from the thumbnail. He's standing on the turtle, my naga. You see that? He's standing on the turtle. It's clearly a what be referred to as the so-called Negro. He's holding a parrot. Some kind of animal there. Another bird. And then we got the colonizer, who's clearly pale in comparison to the Negro. You got the colonizer here. It says Mardi Ethiopia, Vulgo Oceanus Ethiopicus. And we talking about in America. Let's look at some of the place names. I'm going to just let you know, when we talking about Ethiopia, like when we talking Abyssinia, we talking about America, Managa, not Africa. We talking America in ancient times. We talking America in ancient times. And let's not forget, let me stop doing that. Stop trying to hijack. Let's not forget, we at raremaps.com. This is an antique map. Mardi Ethiopia in America, Managa Meridionalis. Alright, so let's blow it back up one more time though. Let's look at some of these place names on this map. Now the one I was pointing out in the beginning was the River Negro. Right? Let's look around at some of these other places that's on here. Where you get your name from, Managa. Get your name right out of America, not out of Africa. So see these place names on this. And I will pull up the date that this map comes from. Look. Kush. Does that say Kush or Cooley? No, that say Cooley Pod. Calo de Limo. Guatara. Guatara. Pifco. Picamalo. Chala. Okana. Arequipa. Arica. Look at that. Arica. A lot of place names here on this map. I'm just trying to see what looks familiar to us and what we can see that we understand. It looks like these names are written in Spanish. Ethiopians. All right, so we just looking at, we just browsing around this map, just seeing what we see, man. Seeing what we see. But the map is of South America, and they're calling the Ethiops. And they got the Negro in there with the River Negro. Ape who's pop? What that mean? Okay, so we see. So we just. I just want to point some stuff out with that, man, to show y'all. You know, when they talking about Ethiopia, the Ethiops, you can't be sure they're talking about Africa. Are you so sure? Could they be talking South America? And this map is from. Let's see if we can get a date on this map here from this site. Let's stroll down, so see if we can get us a date. All right, this from Jan Jackson. Title Marde Ethiopia Bogo Oceanus Ethiopicus, circa 1650, and this was published in Amsterdam. So in 1650, according to the people in Amsterdam, Ethiopia was in America, and the Ethiopians were Americans, American Indians. Marde Ethiopia, 1650. So there's your source. Anybody that want a source, there's a new one for you. Like, I always like to bring something that you possibly haven't seen before. Like, did you know that Ethiopia was in South America? Did you know? But let's continue on what this episode is going to dig into further about Alabama John. Anybody ever heard of Alabama John? Hit me in the chat. Let me know if you heard of Alabama John. I know a lot of people probably never heard of Alabama John because I know how it goes. I know how the hijack is moving out here. The hijack ain't really interested in giving up no real history to nobody. You know, they've been lying for as long as you can't remember, telling you somebody that you ain't. They probably called you an Ethiopian and they didn't tell you that it was in America though. Told you it was in Africa. But we talking about Alabama John on today's episode. So I know a lot of people say, well, who is Alabama John? You know, a lot of times I talk about the American Indians. I talk about the Cherokees. I talk about the Seminoles. I'm telling you that, you know, the so-called Negro doesn't have a presence there because he escaped from slavery and came from Africa and mixed with some other people. No, that's not the truth. The truth is the Cherokee is the Negro. And we're going to talk about it. I got another source right here for anybody that's interested. Talking about Alabama John, the Cherokee. And this source we're looking at now is from www.blackbrothers.com. And this is very interesting because it's telling the truth. Just like the tobacco Indian statues. The first ones tell the truth about what the Indians really look like. The first ones tell the truth. And we can connect the dots when we look at racism from the past, minstrel shows, and paintings and all kind of other things where they talk about us. And so we look at Alabama John, the Cherokee, traditional arrangement, the black family. This is the tale of John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee, an Indian man from Miramichi, Alabama John Cherokee, Wehi Ya'u, Alabama John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee. They made him a slave in old Alabama. Now who they made a slave? They made the Cherokee Indian a slave. So how you think he looked? They made him a slave in old Alabama. Alabama John Cherokee. He ran away every time he can. Alabama John Cherokee. Wehi Yahoo, Alabama John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee. They shipped him on board of a whaling ship, Alabama John Cherokee. Again and again, he gave them the slip, Alabama John Cherokee. Wehi Yahoo, Alabama John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee. Catch him again and again and tie him up tight, Alabama John Cherokee. Put him in the dark without any light, Alabama John Cherokee. Wehi Yahoo, Alabama John Cherokee. So he's an Indian. They enslaved him, putting him on ships. They telling us in this little rhyme here. They gave him nothing for to eat or drink. Alabama John Cherokee. His poor old bones they began to clink. Alabama John Cherokee. Way hey y'all ooh. Alabama John Cherokee times two. Alright. Well now his ghost is often seen. Alabama John Cherokee. Sitting on the main truck, all wet and green. Alabama John Cherokee. Way hey you. Way Alabama John Cherokee times two. At the break of the day he goes below. Alabama John Cherokee. That is when the cocks do crow. Alabama John Cherokee. Way hey Yahoo. Alabama John Cherokee. Alright, so I know some people gonna say. I know some people sitting here watching me. And they gonna say, well, Black Jack, what the hell does all that mean? Okay, Alabama, the Cherokee from Alabama named John. And he's an Indian man from Miramachi. And they said they made a slave of him. Well, Black Jack, how we know that mean he was a black man? That's what I know a lot of people finna say. Black Jack, how we know that mean he was an N-word? Just because they made a song, a minstrel song by Alabama John Cherokee from Miramichi, and they made him a slave, and all of this and that don't mean nothing, Black Jack. Anybody could be a slave. I know some people gonna say that. How you know Alabama John Cherokee was an N-word? Well, all you gotta do is look a little further, my friend. About John Cherokee, just keep doing research. You know, all the sources not gonna tell you everything, but some sources will. Now, we got these people here performing on John Cherokee, Alabama John. Before we do it, let's read the lyrics of what this one says. Lyrics. This is the story of John Cherokee. Let me make sure everybody can read it. Danny Spooner sings John Cherokee. This is the story of John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee. N-word man from Miramachi, Alabama John Cherokee. Now we can stop right there for a minute. Now I know just a minute ago everybody was asking me, we was reading it on the other page, but Black Jack, how you know the Cherokee Indian was the N-word? Black Jack, it just said he was a slave. Well, I told you, connect the dots and keep reading and check other sources. This is the story of John Cherokee, Alabama John Cherokee. N-word man from Miramachi. You see, they took out Indian and put N-word. Indian man from Miramachi. Because you can't separate the Indian and the N-word. I keep telling y'all this over and over. And ain't nobody else on YouTube doing this. Ain't nobody else doing it like this. That's why I appreciate the supporters. I appreciate all the real supporters that supporting the House of Cons. Salute Tribe Buck. I appreciate all y'all. Salute to Maxine Cross for the last Cash App donation. Matter of fact, Maxine hit me with the Cash App, the $20 Cash App. I appreciate all the support. I'm y'all humble servant. Yeah, they told you the Indian man from Miramachi, but they didn't tell you he was an N-word. The American Indian is the N-word. Chorus. Way-ah-ooga, way-ah-ooga, Alabama John Cherokee. They made him a slave in Alabama. Who they made a slave? The N-word man from Miramachi, John Cherokee. John Cherokee? The N-word named John Cherokee? I thought he was from Africa. Nope, he ain't from Africa. Where is he really from? He from America. He's an Indian. Now I know it's some Pan-African or some real African even gonna come in and tell me, man, Black Jack, you crazy. Y'all came from Africa. Man, you are crazy. You don't do enough research. They ain't make John Cherokee a slave in Africa. They made him a slave in Alabama. They ain't go to Africa to get John Cherokee. They got him out of Alabama. Salute to my Alabama Naga. Salute Tribe Up.
Boom shakalaka!
With my fold up chair, I feel like some Montgomery boat ramp energy. They shipped him aboard of a wedding ship again and again. He gave him a slip. He kept getting away. Who they said kept escaping and joining the Indians? They said it was Africans. They was Africans. No, it was people like Cherokee John from Alabama. It was N-words. But the N-words was not Africans. That's who was escaping. He gave him a slip again and again. They catched him and they chained him tight. Stole him below without a light. And he got nothing to eat or drink. Soon his bones, they started to shrink. And now his ghost is off the scene up on the main truck, wet and green. So that is the tale of John Cherokee, N-word man from Miramachi. John Cherokee, the N-word man from Miramachi. John Cherokee, the Indian from Miramachi. The Indian man was the N-word man. Yeah, we got proof on proof on proof. We're going to be touching 1,000 videos sooner or later, and they all got something new. That's one thing about us over here at House of Cons. We're not playing no games. We're going to continue to bring the new information for you. And let's go ahead and listen to how they singing it real quick before we get out of here. Man, I don't know. It's a YouTube video. I don't want the copyright strike me. I might have to pause it here and there. Fair use.
John Cherokee was an Indian man. Alabama John Cherokee.
John Cherokee was an Indian man. Alabama John Cherokee. But now here say John Cherokee was a this is the story of John Cherokee, Alabama John, N-word man from Miramachi, Alabama John Cherokee. Why they didn't say N-word man? I guess, because it's the same thing. I get it. N-word man is an Indian.
John Cherokee was an Indian man. Alabama John Cherokee. Run away anytime he can. Alabama John.
They say that N-word John would run away anytime he could. He was a Cherokee or was he a Seminole? Or was it the same thing? They say that N-word Indian would run away anytime he could.
Cherokee way up. Alabama John Cherokee way up.
They saying Hawaii. See, they don't even know that John Cherokee was saying Hawaii. He was hollering to the Lord. He was hollering to the Most High. They don't even know what they saying.
Alabama John Cherokee. Ship him aboard a Yankee ship. Alabama John Cherokee. Cherokee gave the boss the slip.
They say that Indian N-word, he gave him a slip again. He gave him the slip. He got away. They say he when he married with the Seminoles.
John Cherokee way up. Alabama John Cherokee way up.
Yeah. So y'all see what it is, right?
Alabama John Cherokee. To McCain in the chain them tight.
We ain't gotta listen to this goofiness. This minstrel show. So this is John Cherokee. When I first learned this American shanty at school, it was executed in such a dirge-like manner that I expelled it immediately from my mind until hearing Jim Megan's rendition 20 years later. Danny Spooner and chorus sang John Cherokee in 2009 on his album. On his album, Bo Riley Gone Away. He noted, John Cherokee reminds us of the days when after the harvest, slave owners, what kind of harvest? Harvesting of the corn? Slave owners, what kind of slave owners? African slaves? No, Indian slaves. Would hide their property out to sailing or whaling ship captains. The attitude was, why feed them when they are not producing and you can earn money hiring them out? This may well have been how many Negro songs went to sea. Negro songs. Indian songs or Negro songs? Joanna Colquitt, the daughter of a shipmaster, put together a great book called Sons of the American Sailormen, Oak Publications, 1964. She got John Cherokee from a Captain Robinson. I heard it during the Civil War at Nassau. Yeah, right down here in Florida, Nassau. That's why I go fishing a lot, Nassau. While the crew were loading cotton on the ship Hilja, I assume they were cramming cotton into the holes using the big jack screws. Yeah. N-word man. But John Cherokee was Indian. The N-word man was an Indian, and you didn't know. They left Cherokee in there, but they took Indian out, called him an N-word. But in the song, they kept it real. They kept it real in the song, though.
John Cherokee was an Indian man. Alabama John Cherokee, run away anytime he can. Alabama John Cherokee.
Hey, I hope y'all appreciate the content, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Catch y'all next time. We out. Peace.
Alabama John Cherokee. Ship him aboard a Yankee ship. Alabama John